All right, welcome to this explainer. If you're a beginner wanting to cut through all the noise and get straight to the facts about building muscle, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're building a practical guide specifically tailored for natural lifters. We're going to completely take the guesswork out of how to set up your ideal training volume, and we'll even be walking through an example high-intensity routine. So let's swap the internet rumors for hard evidence-based science.
Okay, let's dive right into this. It's literally the ultimate question, isn't it? If you've ever stood in the middle of the gym wondering, should I do 3 sets or 5? Do I hit my chest for 10 sets a week or 20? Trust me, you're not alone. The core mystery we're tackling today is whether there's some perfect magic number of sets for building muscle. For years, people have chased this elusive number like it's a cheat code for infinite gains. But actually, the human body is a bit more complex and honestly a lot more fascinating than just a simple math equation. To get to the bottom of this, here's our roadmap. We'll quickly cover the perfect number myth, define what hard sets actually are, find the ideal growth zone, look at factors that alter your dose, build a practical example routine, and finally, show you exactly how to adjust your training. Starting with Section 1, the perfect number myth. Let's tackle a massive misconception right out of the gate. If you spend any time reading fitness debates online, you'll see people treating training volume like it's a competition. There's this super pervasive idea that more is just inherently better. Now, the science tells a slightly different story. It is true that more sets usually equal more muscle. Researchers call this a dose-response relationship. But think of it exactly like medicine. A dose only works if it's strong enough to trigger a response, right? But if you take too much, it becomes toxic. In training, your strict limit is your recovery. Piling on sets beyond your body's ability to heal doesn't build more muscle, it literally just digs a deeper hole of fatigue. Moving to Section 2, what are hard sets? Because before we can even begin to count sets, we have to agree on what counts. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast between two very different types of training. On one hand, we have real volume. These are hard sets pushed very close to failure. They actually challenge the muscle enough to recruit deep muscle fibers, sending a massive biological signal to grow. On the other hand, we have junk volume. These are easy sets where you stop with, say, 5 or 6 reps still left in the tank. Doing 15 of these easy junk sets will perform drastically worse than doing far fewer, harder sets. Junk volume just adds pointless fatigue and joint stress. And the science really backs this up. A pivotal 2016 study by Morton and colleagues showed you can actually achieve similar muscle growth across vastly different weight ranges. Whether you're lifting heavy or going for much lighter weights, the muscle grows. But, and this is the kicker, that only happens as long as your proximity to failure is genuinely high. The takeaway for beginners is incredibly empowering. The weight on the bar is flexible, but your effort is absolutely not optional. A set only counts if it's hard. All right, Section 3, the ideal growth zone. Now that we know we're only counting high-effort sets, what do the actual numbers say? When we look at the macro trend from a major 2017 meta-analysis by Schoenfeld and his team, there's a really clear gradient. The data shows that hitting more than 10 sets per muscle per week generally outperforms doing 5 to 9 sets, which in turn beats doing fewer than 5. It gives us a highly usable framework instead of just some vague advice to train hard. So, distilling all that data down for most natural lifters, especially beginners building their foundation, the evidence-based sweet spot to start is between 10 and 20 hard sets per muscle per week. The lower end, around 10 sets, is fantastic when you're newer, ensuring you get enough stimulus without getting completely crushed. The higher end is there for when you become more advanced. But remember, this is a starting range. It's not some universal law written in stone. Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, factors that alter the dose. Because 10 to 20 is a pretty wide range, right? So what pushes you toward the 10-set boundary or up toward the 20-set limit? Well, the literature highlights a few core factors. First, exercise selection. A heavy barbell squat creates vastly more total body fatigue than sitting on a leg extension machine. Second, indirect work. Your triceps get hammered when you bench press, so they might need fewer direct sets on their own. And finally, the massive out-of-gym factors: sleep, nutrition, and life stress. The science is incredibly clear here. Doing 18 hard sets while sleep-deprived yields significantly worse results than doing 12 sets with great food and deep sleep. So, the crucial point here is a concept called recoverable volume. The currency that actually matters isn't the highest number you can brag about on your workout log. It's the highest amount of challenging work your body can actually adapt to and grow from. If you're just surviving your workouts but your strength is stalling and you're perpetually exhausted, well, you've exceeded your recoverable volume. Let's make this real. Section 5, practical example routine. How do we map this out for a beginner? For example, let's look at a beautifully structured, high-intensity 12-set chest block split across 2 days to optimize your recovery. On day 1, you might start with your heavy compound, the barbell bench press for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps, followed by incline dumbbell presses for 2 sets to hit the upper chest. That's 6 sets total. Then later in the week, on day 2, you shift to slightly higher reps with less systemic fatigue, say a machine press for 3 sets and cable flies for 3 sets. That totals exactly 12 sets for the week. You're combining heavy compounds with targeted isolations to maximize growth while perfectly managing your fatigue.
But, and this is a massive but, just writing down those 12 sets isn't enough. Those 12 sets are only optimal if they're actually executed correctly. Every single one of them needs to be a challenging, near-failure effort, perfectly aligned with that real volume concept we talked about earlier. If you just go through the motions on those cable flies, you're not doing a 12-set program. You're doing a 9-set program with 3 sets of light stretching.
Finally, Section 6, how to adjust your training. Because ultimately, the best laboratory is your own body.
Let's see how this builds into a super simple 3-step self-assessment. You should be auto-regulating your volume every 2 to 4 weeks by asking yourself 3 things. Step 1, are your loads or reps going up? Because if you're getting stronger, the volume is working. Step 2, are you fully recovering between sessions? If your chest is still deeply sore from day 1 when day 2 rolls around, your volume might be a bit too high. Step 3, is your overall muscle and joint soreness manageable? If you can answer yes to all 3, stay the course.
But, we have to face the hard truth of the data. If your performance drops, meaning you're suddenly lifting less weight or getting fewer reps, and your general daily fatigue is spiking, your volume is too high. Period. It completely doesn't matter what a spreadsheet, a fitness influencer, or even a meta-analysis says. Tracking your fatigue is literally just as important as tracking the weights on the bar. It is the absolute final checkpoint for any natural lifter.
Which leaves us with this final, truly vital question to ask yourself before you hit the gym next. Take a totally honest audit of your current routine based on what we've unpacked today. Are you hitting those 10 to 20 hard near-failure sets and recovering well? Or are you slipping into the trap of junk volume and endless exhaustion? Adjust your dose, train hard, recover even harder, and I promise you, the results will absolutely follow.
All right.